What's the trigger here? Which is the hormone in the body that's the elephant in the room? It's insulin. Just like my last talk I told you about. Do you see how it's all coming together? The fats, the sugar, the weight, the fasting, it's all insulin. It's all about insulin.
So if somebody is taking insulin, how does that affect
You're doomed.
There we go.
So somebody who's taking insulin, show me somebody who takes insulin every day and, oh yeah, I can lose weight just like that. They can't lose weight. They cannot. I've done it. I've given insulin for 25 years to my patients and I yell at them and nothing happens. So long as their insulin levels are high, they cannot lose weight. And let me tell you something else, the mortality is also higher. Now I'm talking about type 2 diabetics, okay? Not type 1 diabetics. Now type 1 diabetics are insulin deficient and they need the insulin replacement. But type 2 diabetics already have a high insulin level and they have insulin resistance. So the insulin levels are already high and now you're giving them more insulin. And that is only going to hurt the patient even more. But your A1C will look better and your glucose will be lower. But show me the data that your survival is going to be better. Show me that you're going to get less Alzheimer's. Show me that you're going to get less inflammation in your body, coronary artery disease, stroke rates. It's all about the insulin, guys. It's all about the insulin. So you got to, in a chronic state. Now, when you're in the hospital and you're having DKA or some other medical problems and you're having surgery and you're getting on steroids and your sugar levels are high, I'll give you insulin. But that's a temporary thing to bring it down because I want your sugar levels to be ideal while I'm doing surgery on you because high sugar levels mean poorer recovery. So I want your ideal sugar levels. But that's a different story. I am talking about people who have high insulin levels because they have insulin resistance and you cannot give them more insulin. So you must get your insulin level down. I don't have a drug to give you to bring your insulin level down. But fasting will bring your insulin level down. Because if you don't eat, you're not going to make insulin. Now what's going to happen is that as your insulin level drops, and it's nice and low, your body will become sensitive to the insulin. Just like when any level goes down, you become sensitive. When there's too much of it, your receptors downregulate. Say, I'm not going to respond to this. So after you eat in a normal state, you produce a lot of insulin, let's say. Now that you've been down for a good period of time, let's say, I'm going to give you an example, 24 hours. Your insulin levels have been low. Now you eat that next meal, you're only going to make this much insulin. You're going to make a much lesser amount of insulin. So your body is going to deal with that meal differently than had you eaten in a fed state. So eating after a fast is metabolized totally different than eating in a fed state. It's much more forgiving to you. And what's going to happen is that you'll produce less and less insulin even in the next few days after you've fasted one day. Look at the rewards I'm telling you about. You ought to diet at least one day where you don't eat anything because it'll give you a sustained benefit for days because your insulin sensitivity is going to be improved. So what happens here is that insulin stays nice and low. Your body becomes more sensitive to the insulin, produces less insulin. So you're not locking the fat stores and you keep burning fat, which is what you want to do. So here's a reason to fast if you're overweight. You want to get rid of the fat? Fine. This is the way to do it. Well, why don't you just do caloric restriction? So you still eat 5 times a day, but eat small amounts. You cannot do that. You lose a little bit, but you lose much more muscle, and you lose some fat. You will feel miserable, your metabolic rate will go down, and your body resets itself, and you'll gain all that weight right back again. Because that's not natural. Because when you were a Paleolithic being, you didn't just go and nibble at the carcass and say, okay, I'll come back here and eat 5 times this little carcass. No, you didn't do that. It's just totally unnatural to do that. And the body's physiology is in keeping with that. So the biochemistry is telling me the same thing, that yeah, you're not supposed to do that.